God, and thou wast merciful unto me when I did cry unto thee in my field, when I did cry unto thee in my prayer, and thou didst hear me. Now notice in all these that the individual has heard of the Lord in his prayer. I think that's because in the Old Testament, one of the curses of not being on the Lord's side is that the Lord would not hear our prayers, that he would not acknowledge our prayers. Again, O God, in verse 6, when I did turn to my house, that thou didst hear me in my prayer. Verse 7, when I did turn unto my closet, O Lord, and prayed unto thee, thou didst hear me. Thou art merciful unto thy children when they cry unto thee, to be heard of thee and not of men, thou wilt hear me. And verse 9, O God, thou hast been merciful unto me, hear my cries in the midst of thy congregations. It's very interesting that we started with a wilderness, we went to a field, we've come to a house, we've come to a closet, and maybe one of the most private places we can be is individually alone in the midst of a congregation. It's very interesting that in that case, we're communing with our Father in heaven and hearing our cries in the midst of our congregation. It's also interesting to me that in verse 8, he says, Yea, thou art merciful unto thy children when they cry unto thee, to be heard of thee and not of men. I think some of the prayers that we think about and the prayers to which we give most attention personally as we're giving them are our public prayers. We want them to sound knowledgeable, we want them to sound spiritual, we want them to be a little highfalutin, because that's important. I think that it's maybe the most important. I wonder if we could turn that around. I wonder if for the coming year we would have our private prayers be the ones that we devote more of our attention to, wherein we call upon our Father in heaven. I've got to tell you, and this is the talk I didn't have to want to give because I'm not really a good prayer. I pray probably enough to get by. I remember when I came off my mission, the high councilman that interviewed me said, do you pray? And I thought, my goodness, my instant reaction was, when you're on a mission, you're praying half of the time. You're praying with contacts, you're praying about contacts, you're praying as you go up in the morning and out the door, and when you come back in, you're praying all the time. And it really gave me pause when I had to answer him and say, well, yeah, I pray like a civilian, not like a missionary. Missionaries praying all the time. Anyway, how does that bring us to the Savior? Just a little bit later in his discourse, Alma continues, Thou didst hear me because of mine afflictions and my sincerity, and it is because of thy Son that thou hast been thus merciful unto me. Therefore I will cry unto thee in mine afflictions, for in thee is my joy. For thou hast turned thy judgments away from me because of thy Son. And now Alma said unto them, Do you believe those scriptures which have been written by them of old? Behold, if you do, you must believe what Zenos has said. For behold, he said, Thou hast turned away thy judgments because of thy Son. And behold, my brethren, I would ask if you have read the scriptures. If ye have, how can ye disbelieve on the Son of God? For is it not written that Zenos alone, for it is not written that Zenos alone spake of these things, but Zenock also spake of these things. For behold, he said, Thou art angry, O Lord, with this people, because they will not understand thy mercies, when thou hast bestowed them upon them because of thy Son.